if you're going to be the best at something for a long period of time, then you have to commit to it. We can look at sports and we can look at Tom Brady, we can look at LeBron James, who played at a very high level to the very, very ends of their career. That's not accidental. They put the time in, they put the energy in, they put the effort in. Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether it's Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed. Smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Welcome to December 2024. My goodness, where's the year gone? I'm still trying to figure that out myself. So in this episode, what I want to do is just talk a little bit, like a little bit of a debrief, but some distinctions that I recently came across after hosting our 23rd annual business planning conference retreat event, depending on what we're doing. Now we call it Magellan Vision 10X going forward. A couple things. Number one, I think most advisors do a really poor job. If it's you, I'm not calling you out, but I want to explain why you want to stop doing that this year. All right. So number one, I think most advisors do a terrible job at doing business planning. And if they do something, it's usually a spreadsheet or maybe a 1 or 2 page plan, if that, or something written down. And it's never going to give you the impact. And so let me kind of walk you through my framework and my belief systems around business plans. I believe a proper business plan, first off, it's a living document. So it's not something you do, put a couple hours into it on like some afternoon in December or January 1st or something like that. You do it and then you kind of never look at it again, right? Like that to me, like why are we doing that? Like it's a waste of time, all right? Second thing is that most advisors, again, get caught up in the numbers. Again, typically it's top line revenue, new money, new clients, things like that. And then they play what I call the reverse engineering game. Like, I want to grow, so I'm going to go get this much new money in, get this kind of revenue in, stuff like that. And without really any other thought than that, right? Here's some numbers and stuff like that. And typically the reason that happens in my experiences of 30 years is that when you first grew up in the business, you had a sales manager, branch manager, or agency manager, or mentor, something like that. They always would just talk about what do you think you're going to do next year in production, right? Or they gave you a spreadsheet and all these things. And so I want to give you the first framework that is really foundational, all right? So there are four frames when you break down what you want to accomplish in your world, right? So if, like say for 2025, right? Let's say you have a goal of increasing your revenue by a minimum of 20%, okay? Just for argument's sakes, okay? So what is the goal? To increase my revenue by a minimum of 20%. Okay. Why is it the goal? So what is it and why is it, right? So in other words, why is it a must, right? And this is where you've got to spend some time working it through, right? Like you need a list of reasons why you want to grow your business, right? Now, if you're kind of still in ascension mode, it's pretty simple, right? I need to grow up. I need capital, right? To live my life, reinvest my business, grow my game, right? So you'll probably have some buckets like that. But a lot of times you get to a point in your career where you're kind of in that your comfort zone where you're making enough money, right? It's like, in other words, it'd be nice to, I'd like to, but it's not really a must. My lifestyle's X, I've got money in the bank, net worth is good, stuff like that. So in other words, you're lacking the why. So you can write goals down till the cows come home, but if you don't have a compelling reason to do them, why do them, right? It becomes very much an academic exercise, not an emotional exercise. So like, for example, one of our attendees, one of my mastermind members, great guy, love him to death, comfortable as the day's long, right? And he knows it. And I know that he knows it, right? So we're talking, he was down in Miami with us. This is one of the conversations we had over dinner. I said, like, what is going to drive you to do what you want to do? And he's like, looking, I said, well, look, let's not make it about you, because here's a hack. Let's not make it about you. Make it about something you care about. And he's big into hockey. That's his jam, right? Youth hockey. And, I could see him thinking about it, and he goes, I'd like to sponsor kids playing youth hockey. The equipment's not inexpensive. A lot of the families can't afford it. It's not a cheap sport to get involved. It's not like basketball or something like that, in that regard. I said, great. To outfit a kid for a season, fees and all like that. I forget the number, maybe somewhere like $500 to $1,000 or something like that. So great. How many you want to do next year? And the more he thought about it, the more that became his why. So in other words, it's not about him now, right? It's about how many kids can I help play hockey going forward, right? And each year we're going to kind of stack the number, right, going forward. So that's his why to grow his game. Now, he's not going to give every dollar to that, but that'll be the driver of it, right? So increase my business by 20%. Here's my why, hockey, blah, 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 okay? There's my why. Third framework, most important one, by the way. Who do you need to become to pull this off? When I do business planning with my clients, it's 3 full days, 3 8-hour days. And then there's some prep work. I bet you we got 30 hours into it every year. And some of you sitting there going, who in their right mind would spend 30 hours a year building a business plan? If you care about what you're doing, you do. That's the other piece. There's no shortcuts. There's no, you can put together, like a lot of people walk around with this 2-page business plan stuff. I've seen them. Nice. You'll file it away. You won't look at it. Won't be meaningful. It's just an academic exercise. Waste of time. So who do you need to become to pull it off? And one of the major mistakes human beings make, forget just advisors, one of the biggest mistakes human beings make is they set a future goal. They see it. 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, doesn't matter. But here's where they make a massive mistake, the fatal mistake. They take the current version of themselves and they pluck it into that future world, their future world, and it blows them up, right? So for example, if I said to you, hey, 5 years from now, we're going to double your business. And you're like feeling, and let's say you're in that game where you feel like you're working really hard, you're almost overwhelmed, you got too many things on your plate, stuff like that. And I just say, hey man, we're going to double it, right? Your brain goes, no way, man. We don't want that. Like, that's a terrible idea. We like the money, but I just can't picture myself in that frame. So because you can't picture, because again, you're pulling the current version of you forward, right, into your future frame, what happens is your brain goes, cancel it. Like, no, we don't want that. Even though you'll say, yeah, this sounds good, let's do it for it. Your brain goes, hey man, we don't want that. We don't want that version, all right? Hi, Coach Joe Lucas here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. So that's why the third piece is really critical, is like, who do you need to become? Because you have to realize, and this is probably one of my key aha distinctions in the last several years, is that whether you like it or not, you're always working on the next version of you, right? I mean, we always evolve, right? I declared about a month ago, maybe 5-6 weeks ago now, that I was working on Coach Joe 3.0. 1.0 lasted 25 years. 2.0 lasted 5 years. Now we need 3.0 to pull off what we need to pull off, right? And so that's been a lot of the work that I've done the last 6 weeks myself. And that bucket or that box or that frame is a critical frame, right? So what do you want? Why do you want it? Great. But you got to realize the current version of you ain't going to pull it off. This is where most advisors fail right there. They're under the belief, or they never thought about it, that, hey, you're right. Here's my test to everybody who watches or listens here. Go back 5 years. And think about just two things. What was your world like and who were you like? Right? What was your world like and maybe what were you like? Have you evolved the last 5 years? Yes or no? Are you different than you were 5 years ago? Do you have more confidence, more capabilities? Right? You evolved. So if you evolve without thinking about evolving, like just kind of happened, right? What would happen if you grabbed both hands on the wheel and did that intentionally? What would happen then? Interesting, right? So that's the other piece. You got to know who you need to become. Think about this. All day one, like in our framework, what I teach, we're working on current you and then future you. That's all day one. Morning is all current. Future is all what we need to build. That's day one. 1/3 of my entire program is dedicated to you, the human being, getting you to the next level, right? Then day 2 is what we want to create, and then day 3 is how we're going to get it there, right? So day 1, day 2, day 3. So the fourth frame is, what do you need to do to make it real? So this is the easy one, right? So if you say I want to increase my business by 20%, let's just keep things simple. Let's just say that's like extra minimum $100,000 of top line rev. So a $500,000 business, so a $600,000 business. So I got to bolt on $100,000. It's going to come from 2 places. How many new clients? How much is that going to come from our current clients, new clients? How are we going to source new clients, referrals, introductions, COIs? The fourth bucket is I can spend 5 minutes on a whiteboard and map that out for every advisor that I've ever met. Not a big deal. Pretty simple. So what do you want? Why do you want it? Who do you need to become? How are you going to get it? 4 buckets, right? 4 frames. What else did I learn? That business planning should never be done in your tactical environment. So if you're like going to write some stuff on a piece of paper or a spreadsheet or one of these 2-page business plans, if you're going to do that, then at least don't do it in your office. We're going to go to every other year now. So every other year we're going to be hosting somewhere beautiful, South Florida, Miami, Key Biscayne, that area there. But if you can't make it or you're going to do your thing, then, if you're going to do our process, then I would always say, hey, go to a local happy place. If you got little kids and can't go overnight, then make sure you get up early morning, go to a place. Maybe it's a library, maybe it's a Starbucks, maybe it's a coffee house. Maybe it's a room in your house that just has a good vibe, right? I don't know what it is for you, and you'll do it. But please, please, please do this. Never do this in your office. Your tactical environment is not conducive to outside the box thinking. It just won't work. It just doesn't. All right, so don't do it there. What else did I learn? Got to own the morning. So implementation, right? Where implementation execution starts is how you spend the first hour of the day. And I just got done recently rereading The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. If you haven't read it, it's definitely a good read. A little weird, first couple chapters, get through it, and there's a lot of lessons in there. And you got to own the morning. Look, if you're serious about your success, then you got to be serious about your morning. It's 1A, 1B. That's it. You cannot, let me rephrase that. There's always exceptions to the rule. Highly, highly improbable that you're going to achieve greatness by getting up late, getting on your phone, checking emails, looking at the news, letting everybody else's priorities invade your time, and you don't set the course for the morning, right? I'm up at 5:05 every day, and I actually have a 3-hour ritual between working out, prep, personal development, meditation, journaling, stuff like that. It's 3 hours. Now, why do I do that? Because I want to be the best I want to be. If you're going to be the best at something for a long period of time, then you have to commit to it, right? And we can look at sports, and we can look at Tom Brady, we can look at LeBron James, we can look at like a lot of different athletes who played at a very high level to the very, very ends of their career. That's not accidental. They put the time in, they put the energy in, they put the effort in. Brady used to eat weird stuff and exercise weird, right? LeBron James takes his whole fitness program on vacation with all his coaches, right? It's what has to be done. So if you're going to commit to being the best, then you got to realize you can't act like everybody else. And I think this is the other distinction that was very clear to me this year after like 30 years. Do not go into this game thinking it's like any other game. What I mean by that is, I'm an advisor, I'm a professional. So if you want to be an average professional, then you play the game with average intent, right? Which is you get up late, you don't have any game plan, you kind of show up, you still make good money. I've said this for decades, and I haven't said this in a while, so here it is. I truly believe, and my experiences are, that this is one of the only, if not the only profession that you could be a pretty highly dysfunctional human being. Like literally not have a lot of stuff together and probably make six figures. Just being at it long enough, hanging around, being a good human being, right? Not being, anything weird. And I think you make six figures. It may not be high six figures, but you'll definitely make more money than median income for a family of four in the United States by a factor of 2 or 3, right? Not bad, right? That's the power of this game. However, if you dial your game in, then you can do multiple 7 figures. That's the difference right there, right? So if you're serious about your game and being successful inside of it, then you got to approach it differently with a sense of seriousness and urgency that maybe your friends, your family, people around you, people, your golfing buddies or your dinner friends or whatever like that, they don't get it. Hey, why would you go somewhere and invest that money to go spend 3 days and spend 24 hours inside those 3 days doing something? Because that's what's necessary, right? Not for everybody, just not. So that's the other thing too, and I'm going to wrap this up, is that you got to decide what your level of success is going to be for you. So don't sit there and say, well, I like who I am, and then want to double, triple your business. It won't happen because you're not willing to evolve. You're not willing to change. And the other thing is, I don't care how old you are. It's totally irrelevant. I mean, we have people, and I'm blessed to have these people in my world in their mid to late 60s, mid 70s, and they're plotting out the next 10 years, looking to grow. There's no mandatory retirement age in our game. We're not airline pilots. We're not going to be forced out. I believe my best year as a coach will be my last year. I just believe that, right? Like I'm not going to hang out and then decline and then vanish, right? That's not the game here. My last year will be my best year. I want your last year in this game to be your best year too. But that's what I want for you. You got to decide what you want, okay? So hopefully you found some value in the commentary in this episode. We're running out of year here real quick. So a couple things. Number one, if you want access to our business planning process, fabizplan.com. Everything's recorded, masterclass, tools, templates. Everything's all set to go. So go ahead and take a look at that. And if you're not a member of our tribe, MagellanNetwork.net, freebie, cost you nothing. Just come on in, get some value. There's some masterclasses for you. Check out my world. I do things very differently than most other coaches because I am different. I don't just talk about practice management. We want to do the important work, okay? So thanks for listening, for watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game both personally and professionally.